Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series, and we are moving through the month of March in 1987. Specifically, this episode is March 14th, 87. New talent here, and some interesting alliances here, and an interesting piece that I don't know where it fits in a wrestling show, but it's here anyway. Anyway, we open with the Grappler and Bob Bradley versus the Warrior and Red River Jack. Seems like a interesting pairing, and Warrior and Red River Jack, aka Bruiser Brody. Warrior obviously has been around for quite a while. I believe him to be the Texas champion. Anyway, he is leaving by summer, so that'll be interesting how they end the run of the Warrior. That who will they have him put over and such on his way out the door? Will he agree to put people over on his way out the door? But he even has trouble with the leg drop across the arm of the Grappler. Poor Grappler has lots of challenges as it relates to getting something passable out of the Warrior. Odd that Bob Bradley, who is the partner of the Grappler, is on the outside of the ring, and less than a year and a half, 2 years later, he's doing a enhancement talent match for the Warrior on WWF television. I just find that odd. Anyway, Bruiser Brody with the takedown on Bob Bradley, otherwise known as Red River Jack. Big kick by Jack, and we see Warrior with a huge press slam, almost losing Bob Bradley, and meanwhile grabbing him very not so gingerly by the groin to get him up for the press slam. I don't know where they're going in that match, but Warrior ducks his head like he's going for a backdrop and falls over like he was clotheslined at the hands of Bradley. So many Warriorific botches in World Class. Maybe we should start a botchamania for World Class. Just the Ultimate Warrior. Anyway, there is trouble when the Warrior tries to do the grab the rope, pull you in spot. That doesn't go well either. Poor Bob Bradley is still trying with the Warrior, not going very well. Probably good idea. Bradley, I think, at this point, maybe had 5 years experience. Maybe he doesn't have enough experience to carry the Warrior. Tag off to Red River Jack. Jack comes in with some chops, and you can see the face of Bradley kind of light up just to be in there with a guy who has a little bit more clue what he's doing. Anyway, tag off. Bradley sends Brody or Jack back to the corner, and tag off the Grappler back in there, and then they tag off back to the Warrior. Obviously, the desire to keep the Warrior still, in a good space is there. Can't believe they take the Warrior down with reverse chinlock. It just strikes me as odd. Clothesline by the Warrior and tag off to Jack. Jack manages to come back into the ring, and a big running boot on Bob Bradley. Jack, for some reason, picks him up just to body slam him back to the mat, and Brody, aka Jack, goes to the second rope on the inside, hits a flying knee, and it's over from there. Then we go to Mr. Jeep Swanson versus Dusty Wolf and Jeff Rath. 2-on-1 handicap match. Gary Hart seconding Swanson. This match, as is to be expected, does not go very long. This match, as is to be expected, does not, do anything other than lead Swanson to kind of take control of the match itself, and then we see Dusty Wolf get pressed above the head of Swanson. Much different press slam. Jeff Ratz is taken care of. Short clothesline by Swanson. Swanson, they say, is 370 pounds. I believe he's every bit of it. Anyway, he eliminates his adversaries in about 2 minutes, maybe a little less, interview with the Dingo Warrior and Red River Jack. They basically talk about wanting to get rid of Gary Hart and friends. That is the whole center of the interview. Warrior says new, meaner, nastier people are coming. Gary Hart's trying to bring in more people to cause trouble. Then we go to a special report from the hand exhibit. They make brass hands of various sports stars, actors, wrestlers, and the like, including but not limited to Fritz von Erich, kind of in the claw position. This is at the local medical center that took care of the Von Erich boys, Kerry and Mike, when he had his injury. And so I guess they're in some sort of partnership with the hospital, or just trying to make Fritz seem like a bigger deal. Or I don't understand where this segment fits in. But Fritz talks about the wonder of the hospital, the good of the hospital, and all that. Then we go to Black Bart against Tony Atlas. Bart, now out of nowhere, managed by Percy Pringle, so that's a little different, to say the very least. Atlas takes Bart to the ropes, tries to get him eliminated as quick as possible, double crisscross. Atlas drops down, comes up with a hip toss, and very, very basic spots. You're not going to see a lot out of Tony that's too extreme. Bart says his hair was pulled. Nobody saw that. A blue sports coat this time from Percy Pringle, which is kind of interesting. Usually we see him in either pink or yellow. And wow, that says a lot when we're looking at coat colors. But anyway, so we move quickly through this match, and Atlas obviously using power. Interesting that, Atlas is right after, or very close after, Warrior match and interview. 3 arm drags, and Bart is headed to the outside in a hurry. Tony Atlas sits down in the middle of the ring in a steel chair, kind of as if to say, you are no challenge to me. This upsets Percy Pringle. This upsets Black Bart. Bart comes back into the ring trying to get any advantage he can. Remember, Bart is still a former world champion here. Every time I see Bart, I have difficulty in believing that. Big leaping headbutt by Tony Atlas, and good old Bart does the timber fall. Atlas with some punches and a big leaping what looks to be a drop kick, but he turns it into, almost for lack of a better term, a leaping jump sidekick. A bunch of attempts at chin locks and modified chokeholds, headbutt by Atlas. Atlas grabs the cane of Percy Pringle. That leads to a disqualification. Atlas brings him in the hard way and tries to take care of Percy Pringle. Pringle is unhappy with getting beaten up at his own fault. Kelly Brooks and Brian Adias versus the Von Erichs. Of course, the Von Erichs in this case being Mike and Lance. So Kevin is still your world champion. He's, I guess, too otherwise occupied to challenge for or be in a tag match here. Tie off with Mike Von Erich and Killer Brooks for a few minutes. Brooks obviously still much larger than Mike Von Erich, and this just it really shows. Big suplex from Brian Adias. Adias they're still trying to do things with, but I don't think his push quite worked out the way they planned. They've gone other directions. Anyway, Mike Von Erich comes back in when Killer Brooks is back in legally. They work. Mike Von Erich works the arm a bit, and then we kind of see that for what it is, and kind of a bit of a tie-up there. Then we go into more of the match, and I mean, The Von Erichs are still super popular in Texas. I think they would have been if they'd gone another 10 years. But um, Adias comes back in, tries to put a chinlock / chokehold on Mike Von Erich. Mike gets into a brawl with a now legal Killer Tim Brooks. Brooks goes hard into the corner, almost over the top rope. Brooks is, well, less than happy with his situation. All four guys in the ring. Chaos breaks down, and a drop kick by Lance Von Erich. Um, Lance obviously wants to continue to go in the direction of being the best he can be. Continuation of the contest, and the Von Erichs do eventually get the victory. Then we move to the main event, Nord the Barbarian versus Steve Simpson. And Nord the Barbarian, otherwise known as the Berserker, with a huge falling suplex a couple minutes into the match. He is managed by Gary Hart. Gary Hart, I believe it's the week after this one, talks about how Nord is a protege of Bruiser Brody, who used to work with Brody in the AWA, and Brody kind of abandoned him, so Hart picked him up. I mean, that's basically the gist of that conversation. Steve Simpson tries for a sunset flip. Nord does not go over. Nord is huge at this point in his career. I think he could have been more. He just didn't have the right gimmick, or the gimmick that worked for him. I mean, the Berserker, the Huss thing, worked for a little bit, but wasn't what he really needed. Big kick into the face of Simpson. Obviously, almost a Brody knockoff is Nord. Nord holds on and blocks a roll up, gets drop kicked in the face a couple of times, and Simpson still trying. He actually more competitive than you'd imagine him to be in an opening match type situation, but a big kick from Nord is enough to slow things down. Obviously, Nord gets running around and uses a backbreaker for the victory. Nord gets your victory here this week as we close this edition of the World Class Area. We'll be back with more right after this.